I have to talk about this. There was a time in my life, when I had six little children and I lived in Newark, New Jersey, and we totally depended on food stamps and welfare, getting money from the government because, hey, I was one of those people who needed the assistance and I got it. But the food stamps always ran out. We never had enough. But one of the things I did learn when I was raising my children from ages, maybe 1 to 7, I think at that time, the youngest one and the oldest was 7. One of the things I did learn was to make beans and rice, okay? Navy beans, navy beans and brown rice and whole wheat muffins and stuff. I want to talk a little bit very quickly because I'm really pissed the hell off because people are actually starving, because the food stamps are not there. And we called them food stamps back then, they tore them out, the little book, paper food stamps. But anyway, it's EBT now. Same thing. This is really messed the hell up, okay? Um, my children, they're grown, of course, and we don't have to, use food stamps anymore. But if I did, if I did, and if I was suddenly cut off without any resources, savings, no money in the bank, and nothing, I don't know what we would have did. A lot of people, they resort to stuff like crime and or they become so desperate till they think of all types of ways to survive. And men, oh my God, when they see their babies starving, and people think that men don't care, but they do. They care. They don't want their babies to starve either. And when they know that their back is against the wall, they resort to desperate measures as well. This is like really, I'm trying hard not to curse. I'm really trying hard not to curse, but this is F the fuck up. I did, I cursed. Okay. Okay, so this is like really messed up, okay? Um, we can always talk about the problem, but we always need to know what we can do to find a solution or to help with a solution. Back in the day, growing up with my babies, one of the things that I was taught as an MGT, because I was an MGT back in those days, that meant Muslim girl training. I'm no longer in that realm, but some of the foundational stuff that I learned, carried on to this day in my life right now. One of the things that we learned was how to eat to live, and you just got to go back to basics. Okay, you got to get your dry beans, you got to get your dry rice, you got to get you a bag of flour, some baking powder. We used to use dry milk back then too because we couldn't afford the regular fresh whole milk all the time. You got to get your milk. If you can get regular milk, that's cool too. But the dry milk is more economical. It was back then. I don't know what it is now. Eggs. You got to get you some eggs. Eggs are so expensive though. Okay, and you don't really have to bake bread with eggs, bake the muffins with eggs. You can just use the flour, the baking powder. If you got a little bit of honey or a little bit of raw sugar, you can put that in there to give it a little bit of taste. Um, what else? Milk, the milk, of course, water, to mix with the dry milk if you don't have the regular milk. And you just got to keep your babies fed. And the navy beans have protein and the rice have fiber. And as far as vegetables are concerned, we ate a lot of apples. My children ate a lot of apples, okay? A lot of apples and raisins. We did apples and raisins a lot, okay? And we did the sorrel tea, Sorrel, sorrel. That's how we said it, sorrel tea. My babies used to call it the red tea. And that's what we did. And we ate a lot of that. And not only did my children have that, the neighborhood children as well. Um, because everybody was hurting. So whoever had the means or the resources, we kind of helped each other in that situation. So because I had six babies, that means each one of my children had friends. There was always some kind of friend, at least 3 or 4 friends from 3 or 4 of my children sitting up in the house as well. So we all ate beans and rice and we were very happy. And we created things to do to keep us occupied and connected. And you know, one of the things that we did was we created plays. Back then we had something called the Watoto Drama Ensemble. I created an ensemble with children. Watoto means children in Swahili. So we did that, and we ate our beans and rice and our whole wheat muffins and had an apple for dessert or some raisins or something like that, and we just kept it moving. And today, you know, all of them are very productive and very healthy individuals, okay? So what I'm trying to say is that I'm really pissed the fuck off. I'm really pissed off that this government, this place that we call home in terms of the United States of America, can't do better. You know, or won't do better, can do better, but just won't do better. You know, they're not putting in consideration the people that are actually starving, okay? They just want to have their way about what is going to happen or what's not going to happen. And they're not thinking about the everyday person or the everyday people that are really suffering. You know, I'm not even talking about medicine that people need or the medical services people need. I'm just talking about the foundational basic need as far as food is concerned. Forget about clothes, okay? Forget about, you know, being out on the street and being, you know, without a shelter over your head or being evicted or whatever. I'm talking about freaking food, you know, food, you know. People need help. You know, what the fuck is going on that you gotta, you know, starve people? Is this like a genocide? What is it? What's the word I'm looking for? Are you committing genocide? I mean, is that what the government is doing? Is that what's happening? Is this a way of weeding out the weak and the people who cannot afford, or the people who don't have resources or family or any means to get food? I'm not talking about anything else. I'm talking about something as basic as food. Okay. What are you doing here? What's going on? Okay, so we know the problem. We know the problem. So my suggestion would be, my little 2 cents, my little 3 cents, or whatever amount you want to put on it, is to get you some beans and get you some rice. And that's for real. You know, I was a counselor at a women's correctional facility in Florida at one time. And on my desk, you know, I counseled women who were imprisoned for trying to eat. Okay. One of the things I had on my desk was a big jar of beans and rice. And that was a symbolic message to the women. Whatever you think you need to do, or whatever you've done, or whatever you decide and you think you want to do to feed your babies, because a lot of the women in there were just trying to survive. You know, I'm keeping it real. They're just trying to survive. Who wants to get locked the hell up? Either they was trying to survive by doing things, or somebody hurting them and they hurting them back first, or you know, they finding other means to survive. Okay, you know. So anyway, the beans and rice is what I'm saying. People making little jokes about it, but it's no freaking joke. Okay, that's your lifeline right there. The basic stuff: your beans, your navy beans, or your black beans and rice. Not white rice, brown rice or black rice. Okay, brown rice or black rice is more nutritional. It's less starchy. Because you want to be mindful of the diabetic situation that a lot of people have, you know, diabetes and so forth. You don't want to eat a lot of starchy stuff. But anyway, get a bag of apples, get some black beans, some navy beans, and some brown rice, and you know, just, you know, come up with some creative ways on how to feed your family. That's all. Just come up with some creative ways on how to feed your family economically, okay? Because you can do it. You can do it. We can do it. We got this shit. We survived on less. We survived on hog guts before. Our ancestors did. Hog guts, you know, roots and shit like that, okay? So we can do this. We got this, okay? We got this. You're not going to starve. Just go out and do the best you can with what you got, and we got this down. We got this locked down, okay? Yeah, okay. Peace and love. Love you.